In the wake of calls for a postponement of Edo and Ondo state governorship elections owing to COVID-19 pandemic, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has insisted that such an action would amount to an open invitation to a constitutional crisis. Rather, the Commission said it will ensure strict observance of COVID-19 guidelines and protocols, adding that being able to vote will be tied to wearing a face mask. The Commission said the August 8, 2020 Nasarawa State House Assembly elections will be used to test run conditions for the two governorship elections in Edo State and Ondo State scheduled for 19th of September and October, respectively. We'll now be joined for more explanation on this by Festus Okoye, INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee in the Commission. Why should holding the forthcoming governorship elections be a matter of do or die, going by the spirit and the letter of the interview he granted on this topic earlier in the week? In a country where politicians have an inclination towards challenging just anything in court, who can predict against this being subject to judicial manipulation? Will INEC be as adequately prepared as it wants everyone to believe? So joining us for this chat is Festus Okoye. There are more questions which I'll be posing to the Festus Okoye on this conversation. Good morning. Great to talk to you if you can hear me. At first, I'd like to know the guidelines INEC has got on ground as regards these elections. Is it just only wearing a face mask? Would you put in social distancing? Can you tell me the full gamut of guidelines INEC has on ground for these elections?
Well, the Commission has been working with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and the Presidential Task Force in relation to making sure that we have guidelines and protocols that are not in conflict with each other. So the Commission has its own guidelines. We also have guidelines from these two agencies that are primarily charged with the responsibility of containment. So part of our guidelines is that, one, we are going to provide protective equipment for all the ad hoc staff that will be deployed for this particular election. Secondly, we have adopted a two-tier queuing system at the various polling units to make sure that we move people into the voting area in batches. And we have also said that every voter that comes to the polling unit must have a face covering, not necessarily the face masks that are very, very expensive. The person should have at least a face covering. And then we're also discussing with the focal person from the Presidential Task Force who has been assigned to the Independent National Electoral Commission on some of the other guidelines and protocols that will be observed as we move into the elections. So we are not working alone. We are not working in isolation. We are consulting, and we're also leveraging on the work of professionals in this area.
Well, straight question. Is INEC ready for the conduct of those elections? I understand you have an election, a by-election in Nasarawa State, where you would test run some of the protocols that you have put in place. But as for Edo and Ondo State elections, what's the level of preparation by INEC? And if INEC is ready, how about the political parties, considering the kind of turmoil we have seen, with the primaries and with the lead-up to those elections?
Well, the primary duty of the Independent National Electoral Commission is to conduct elections. And because we are conducting the Edo and Ondo governorship elections under a very difficult circumstance, we decided as a commission that we need to do some simulation exercises, we need to do some test run with the Nasarawa Central State Constituency election. So to that particular extent, we have fixed that particular election for the 8th day of August. We want to see how the security agencies deal with the issue of crowd control. We want to see how we manage our the collation centers and also the registration area centers where we are going to keep the presiding officers and the assistant presiding officers overnight. We want to see how the guidelines and the protocols and the manuals that we have put in place will work in practical terms, so that if there are challenges, we will look at those challenges, learn lessons from them, and then see how we can improve on some of these issues before we get to Edo and Ondo governorship elections.
Yeah, but I asked you a question about the interface with the political parties. Is there any guarantee that they will observe physical distancing, that they would be on the same page with INEC? What have you seen in terms of their attitude?
Well, these are very unusual. We are operating in a very unusual time. This is an unusual situation. So our attitude has been the attitude of inclusiveness and engagement. So we are engaging with the political parties. We have advised them on the need for them to also have their own regulations, guidelines, and protocols on how to manage rallies and how to manage campaigns. We have also interfaced with them on the whole issue about the nomination processes. Our nomination processes were done electronically for Edo, and it's being done electronically for all those states, and it's going on smoothly. So we must realize, as a people and as a nation, that containing the pandemic and also making sure that we vote in health and in safety is a collective responsibility. And I believe that the political parties understand this particular issue. They understand their responsibilities in relation to this area. So we'll continue to work with them. We'll continue to engage with them to make sure that they understand the enormity of the situation and the need for all of us to abide by all the protocols and all the guidelines that have been issued in relation to containing this particular pandemic.
I'm just wondering how feasible this will be. I mean, the Commission says it to provide cleaning agents for the card readers, because we do know that is a physical contact surface for people, which is the very, it's like a petri dish, really, to spread the virus. You say you also provide hand sanitizer, infrared thermometers, face mask for your ad hoc workers. But how about logistics and transportation? Considering physical distancing, is that a challenge you're considering, and the time factor involved? Because if you have to clean the card reader machines, if you have to ensure social distancing, I'm thinking that the elections will take a bit longer to conduct in a day. Has INEC factored these challenges? Are there even challenges at all for you?
Well, you know, even the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, they keep on reviewing their protocols and they keep on reviewing their guidelines as the day goes by, depending on their own understanding of this particular pandemic. And that is why we want to go to this smaller constituency in Nasarawa State, see how we manage time, see how we manage the whole issue about physical distancing, and see how the security agencies control the crowd. So for us, we have said that elections will commence at 8:30 and then end at 2:30. If we get to the Nasarawa State constituency and we do this stress run, we do these simulations, and there's the need to adjust before we get to Edo and Ondo, definitely we will adjust. There is nothing that is static. The more we move on with this election and we learn new issues, we will also adjust our strategies and our tactics based on the new issues we have learned. So we are not holding tight to any of the procedures. We are going to learn, and we are going to adapt, and we are going to also change as the situation demands.
Including transportation. And I ask this because in recent times we've seen INEC ad hoc staff, you know, having to deal with so much challenges with transportation. And now that you have to inculcate physical distancing, are you able to afford extra vehicles, for instance?
Yes, you know, we are talking of the end of tenure election in one state at so the implication is that we can mobilize resources and logistics from the contiguous states of Edo and also from the contiguous states of Ondo State in order to supplement what we have. What we have said is that any vehicle that's used to carry maybe 20 passengers, in relation to this particular election, will now carry 10. So it's going to be 50. We have the wherewithal to make sure that we have adequate transportation and make sure that we deploy on time, and we are not going to have any serious challenge in relation to the issue of deployment and in relation to the issue of transportation.
Mr. Okoye, I'm just very concerned about the spread of this disease. Are you going to, test your ad hoc staff before they go on site for COVID-19? Because that's one of them. You might have some that are asymptomatic, but you don't know, they'll just spread, and they don't even know they're spreading it. So are you going to test all of them? What's going to be the logistics behind that? And secondly, are you going to work in close partnership with the Center for Disease Control in Nigeria, NCDC, as regards, if probable, having one of the officials on ground to monitor things and ensure that things are done properly? And thirdly, is it that somebody that doesn't wear a face mask to the polling booth is automatically disenfranchised?
Well, as of today, some of our officials have held series of meetings with the focal persons that have been deployed by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control to work with the Commission and also advise the Commission in relation to some of their own protocols and some of their own guidelines. We are also going to work with the various ministries of health in the two states where we have elections. We are looking at a situation where we are going to have ambulances stationed at strategic places. We are looking at a situation where we are going to have staff of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control in some of the polling units. So there are several issues we are dealing with. But our policy is that if you are not wearing a face mask, you should not even come near the polling unit, because that is one of the things we are going to enforce strictly. So we are going to be relying on the advice of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control as we move forward with this particular election. But ultimately, the conduct of this election and how this election is conducted is the sole responsibility of the independent.
Mr. Okoye, are you going to test your ad hoc staff for COVID before they get out there? Because that's important. Are you going to test them for COVID?
We are still working on that protocol. We may likely have what we call voluntary testing before and after the elections. So we are trying to work out the logistics of that with the Nigerian Center for...
Why voluntary, not mandatory?
So we are looking into...
Why voluntary, not mandatory? Why voluntary? Because everybody, it's mandatory. Everybody should test for COVID in this country. Why voluntary? Why are you saying voluntary, not mandatory?
Well, that's the particular word I have seen for now in some of the documents relating to the meetings we've had with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. But as we move on, if the advice is that it must be voluntary, then the Commission will not have any challenge with that. But as of today, what I have seen is that we are saying that there will be voluntary testing before and after the conduct of elections.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that there's any law that says everybody must be compulsorily tested. But I guess the concern is that if people are going to be involved in the electoral process, you must at least make an effort to know their status and take necessary precautions. I guess that's the big point. But however, let me ask you about the by-elections that were postponed in Imo, Bayelsa, and I think it's there's also Plateau State involved. Now, at the time when that postponement was announced, your agency said it was because of COVID-19. And Section 26 of the Electoral Act empowers INEC in the case of an emergency to postpone elections. But we have a different argument with the gubernatorial elections in Edo and Ondo. When last you were on this program, you said, well, for constitutional reasons, that those two elections cannot be postponed. Do you want to shed some light on both the gubernatorial elections and the by-elections with regard to the law? But we'll take a short break while you reflect on that. When we return, we'll have your response. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Still with us is Dr. Festus Okoye, INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of the Commission's Information and Voter Education Committee. Thank you for staying with us, Dr. Okoye. Well, the question I had asked you about the senatorial by-elections in 3 states and then these gubernatorial elections and how INEC will seem to be contradicting itself with regard to elections at a time of emergency.
Now, as of today, we have 15 by-elections pending. And these by-elections are important. No election is small because all of them involve issues around representation. So the Commission is concerned about the fact that we have 15 by-elections pending that have not been conducted. Out of those 15 by-elections, we have just isolated only one for us to use as a test run before we go to Edo and Ondo governorship elections. Now I think that the constitutional issues are very clear. If you look at the Edo and Ondo governorship elections, these are the elections we characterize as end of tenure elections. If you look at section 180, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it makes it very clear that every governor has only a 4-year tenure and a maximum of 8-year tenure. For the Edo governor, the incumbent governor of Edo State, his tenure and that of the deputy will end on the 11th day of November 2020, while that of the governor of Ondo State will end on the 23rd day of February 2021. Now, by the provisions of section 178, subsection 2 of the Constitution, the Independent National Electoral Commission is under a constitutional obligation not to conduct the elections in any of these days. We have an obligation to conduct these elections not earlier than 180 days and not later than 30 days to the end of tenure of the incumbent. The implication is that for Edo governorship elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission must conduct the election on or before the 13th day of October 2020. And for the Ondo governorship elections, we must conduct the elections on or before the 25th day of January 2021. Then the next question is, what if you don't conduct these elections? What if you applied section 26 of the Electoral Act and postpone this election since an emergency has arisen? Under the hierarchy of laws in Nigeria, the Constitution is the ground norm. It is the fundamental law of the land. Every other law takes its hierarchy from the Constitution. Now, there are a plethora of cases that has made it very clear. The moment a provision of the Constitution has prescribed a time frame, a date for the doing of any act, that nobody has the right to abridge that particular time, to extend it, or to elongate it, and that any attempt to elongate it or to abridge it amounts to engaging in an unconstitutional act. Now, the dilemma the Commission is faced with now is this. If we do not conduct these elections at the periods prescribed by the Constitution, the implication is that on the 11th day of November 2020, the governor of Edo State and the deputy governor of Edo State will move out from Government House. They don't need to write any letter of resignation to anybody, and they don't need to hand over anything to anybody if there's nobody to be handed over to on that particular day. They must vacate office. Yes. Now, the next issue is, what if that happens? What will be the constitutional implication? If you look at section 180, subsection 3 of the Constitution, it says that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria can postpone an election by 6 months and get the incumbent governor to remain in office if the country is at war, in which the territory of Nigeria is physically attacked. So for us, it does not seem as if this particular provision is applicable in our own instance. And even if it is applicable, it is a presidential action and it is also a political action because it postpones an election by 6 months in the first instance, which is completely outside the control of the Commission.
Okay.
The next issue is, what if you go to section 305 of the Constitution and claim that what is going on is an emergency situation? In that particular instance, it is still the President and the National Assembly that will declare a state of emergency, and that state of emergency will last in the first instance for a period of 6 months. Now, the question you may ask is, what if the Speaker not around? If you look at section 191 of the Constitution, it says that the Speaker can only take over when there's a process of impeachment or when there's a process of resignation or when there is death. That the Speaker will only take over to complete the unexpired residue of the term of office of the incumbent. And the term of office of the incumbent will elapse automatically by the 11th day of November 2020. So all these other issues, all these other processes are completely outside the control of the Commission. And that is why we are saying, rather than engage in this constitutional debate on whether somebody has authority to do, or whether what is going on amounts to war or does not amount to war, that it is better for us to apply all the necessary health containment strategies and conduct these elections and not allow Nigeria to go slip into a constitutional crisis that nobody knows how it will end.
Well, point well made, Mr. Okoye. But I want to quickly talk about voter turnout, as we do know that has been on the downward trend in recent times, despite increased number of registration of voters. And a youth initiative, non-governmental organization for advancement of good governance and democratic rights, they are called KDI, the Kimpact Development Initiative. They say COVID-19 may impact the elections in Ondo and Edo State and may result to even lower voter turnout. Are you concerned about this? What is your reaction, and what is the Commission doing as regards voter turnout or voter education?
Yes, the Commission is concerned about voter turnout in both elections. And we should be concerned, and Nigerians should be concerned. But we must also understand that we are in a very unusual situation. We are in a situation that is called novel. There's apprehension, there is fear all over the place. But countries must adapt strategies and tactics on how to move on, because all the health agencies, nobody has been able, as of today, to tell us that this pandemic will end tomorrow, or it will end in 2021, or it will end in 2022. So the implication is that society must move on, and we must adapt strategies and ways on how to get by, even with this pandemic. So we are going to rev up our voter education initiatives and awareness using radio, using the social media, and also using mostly non-contact means, because we cannot engage in the orthodox means of voter education that we used to do before. Political parties have a role to play. The media is doing its best and still has a role to play. Civil society groups and organizations have a role to play, and we must constantly and continually and continuously assure our people that some of these strategies that we have put in place can work, only if they will also take responsibility for their own health and also take collective responsibility in making sure that we vote in safety and also not jeopardize the health of individuals who come out to exercise their democratic franchise.
I just want to ask you this as we start to wrap things up. Has the Commission planned, or what has it done as regards the contingencies that will occur as a result of COVID-19? Because obviously your spending will increase, your logistical cost will increase as we look forward to this election. It's not what you bargain for before, you'll see now. And you have many elections, by-elections, and elections, governorship elections across the country. How have you buffered for this?
Well, you see, what has happened is that in relation to provision of non-pharmaceutical things for this particular election, the budget of the Commission will increase. But you see, there are also areas where the budget of the Commission will definitely decrease. Some of the traveling, paying for air tickets and so on and so forth, we used to do in terms of going to go and meet stakeholders and engage in meetings and so on and so forth, will decrease. Some of the political parties are now filing their nomination processes electronically. So there are so many things we are doing electronically now that has reduced the cost of election. But in terms of transportation and also in terms of providing some of the personal protective equipment, it will increase. So we are discussing with the finance authorities and also adjusting our budgets to make sure that we are on the same page with the Nigerian people in terms of the economic situation in Nigeria. So we are looking at a balancing act here. But I agree with you that the cost implication is a serious implication, but some costs are reducing while others are getting higher. But we will get by. We are managing, and we are making sure that we respond to the challenges posed by this particular pandemic.
Well, can I ask you a question? As a citizen, not as an INEC commissioner, I don't know whether you would like to take such a question, because it's as follows. It's about your own impression about how the political parties are organizing themselves with regard to internal democracy. Because after the 2019 general elections, one of the messages from INEC is that, look, political parties should pay more attention to internal democracy, particularly how they organize their primaries. Now, from some of the drama we have seen from Edo State recently, will you say that the political parties have learned their lessons? And if not, what advice will you offer them?
My impression is that there has been some improvement in terms of the internal party processes and procedures in the political parties. Now, the law as of today is that the conduct of party primaries and how party primaries are conducted remains within the domestic realm of the political parties. Because we cannot tell a political party whether to zone its governorship ticket to a particular senatorial or geopolitical zone, or whether they should sponsor somebody who is light complexion, or who is dark complexion, or who is tall, or who is short. So it remains within their own confines. So what we have insisted on is that, one, constitutionally and legally, a political party must conduct primaries to nominate its candidate. Two, the political party must conduct either direct or indirect primaries. And that three, that only candidates that emerge from validly conducted party primaries will be submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission as candidates arising from that particular election. So the ones within our own mandate as a commission, we have been making sure that the political parties comply. So there has been a marked improvement in relation to the way political parties conduct their business, because they know that the commission will not collect the list of any candidate that did not emerge from validly conducted party primaries. But I think we still have a long way to go. There are still things the political parties need to do in order to make sure that they respond concretely and fundamentally to their own internal party processes and also internal party procedures. But we'll continue to work with them to make sure that they observe all the legal issues involved, and also make sure that they conform to constitutional and legal dictates in the conduct of their party primaries.
Mr. Festus Okoye, do you agree that we have found ourselves here discussing how COVID-19 would likely impact our democratic practices just because we failed to deploy technology in its full glory to our democratic process? I mean, the way of life has changed for everything. Everything is now done online, but here we are having conversations about how we can avoid spreading COVID-19 because we're still physically conducting elections. But INEC has promised to change all of this at the earliest possible time. What's your thoughts on this?
You know, my opinion is that technology does not vote in any election, and the technology does not conduct elections. It's human beings that conduct elections. Technology only comes to assist persons speed up the electoral process and also make things slightly easy for human beings. The greatest challenge we have in the country is what I call the trust deficit in our electoral process. Even in advanced countries where technology originated from, they don't even trust technology in the electoral process. Some of them still use A4 paper in voting, despite the advancement in technology. But I think that the Commission has been very, very proactive in terms of introducing technology in the electoral process. We have capacity, even as of today, to do electronic collation and electronic transmission of results. And we have promised Nigerians that when we get to the 2021 Anambra governorship elections, that we are going to use electronic voting machines for that particular election. So just watch the Commission you will see that the type of innovations we are introducing in the electoral process. And I believe that if the Nigerian people agree and if the political parties are ready to play by the rules of the game, that the commission has the capacity, the moment the electoral framework is amended, to introduce full-blown technology in the electoral process. So we are preparing and we are getting ready, and we are thinking ahead even before the COVID-19 pandemic came in. But I think it has become more urgent for us to engage or deepen the use of technology in the electoral process. So we are moving, and we will get there.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Okoye, for joining us this morning and for the clarifications that you have offered. I'm sure that our viewers have been well enlightened by your contributions. Thank you very much indeed.